to have you and thankful for this privilege to be speaking with you today. I'm going to be alone today. Reason being that as we are going through this issue of clarity, there are some things that we haven't yet dealt with, and I feel are really important to point out before we go further in our discussions. And the reason is that if we don't get to really understand how the subject matter of clarity is important to us or affects us, we may be losing the essence of the reasons of this discussion. So please just open your heart and be ready for this talk. I'm believing that it's going to be rich, it's going to be insightful, it's going to be inspirational, and it's going to help you make decisions that will lead you into a better future. Now, why clarity? Why clarity? It may be my own personal bias. It may be because of my own slant. But as a person, for many years, I have struggled. I have struggled with issues in my life, things that have become weights around me, thoughts, ideas, and, things that have evolved to become problems in my life because I did not have clarity. I felt I was always in competition. I felt I was always supposed to be meeting up with some people's expectations. I felt that I was never good enough. I struggled with low self-esteem. I struggled with self-doubt. For many years, I just was in this hamster wheel and struggling and making no progress in my life because I didn't have clarity. I said earlier that clarity is one of the things that gives you focus and direction. When you have clarity, you know what you are about. You know why you're here. You know what you're supposed to be doing. So you're able to prioritize. You're able to set your targets. You're able to cut off the things that are not necessary because you know your why. And as I began to grow in clarity, as I began to see better about me, about my life, about what I'm here for, it became easier to begin to take on my responsibilities and do them. So quickly, I just want us to go into the, 7 elements of clarity. That's for me. This is my theory, and I hope you're going to buy into my theory. I'm going to begin with the C, and you will get to know, in case you don't already know me, you will get to know that I really love using acronyms. I love putting these words together and making them something that you will stick and you will remember. So I have my own acronym for clarity, and I'm going to be looking at them. Each point, one letter, one word that gives us what we are looking at in clarity. So keep your pens, papers ready, or if you're using a tab, a phone, get ready to write. Note these points and begin to apply them. Use them to search yourself and begin to know where you stand and know whether you are clear. All right? So please, just be open. One of the things I would love you to do is that you begin to write your questions or make your comments on the platform, especially for those who are watching on Facebook or YouTube. I would love to see your comments and I would love to see your questions. As you put them down immediately after this broadcast, I will come and begin to answer you one by one. So please do that for me and I will be very, very honored. Thank you very much. So we start now. And the first thing I would like to talk about is comprehension. That is C. C stands for comprehension. Why comprehension? Comprehension is a word that talks about understanding. The first thing that you need for clarity to be complete is an understanding of you and an understanding of your world. I'm not talking about the general world, it's important, but your world. But before I get carried away and talk about your world, let's talk about you. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Have you sat down ever to think about what makes you? Generally speaking, first of all, let's begin with your constitution. You are a human being, and you're a human being because God breathed life into you from conception, as he did in Adam when he made him, made woman. From that point, life entered man. So you are a human being, you are a body, but this body is not everything about you. You have a spirit and you have a soul. So inside you, the real you is. Whoever you are outside is not you. It's the container that that you use to interact and relate with people. But sincerely, there's somebody inside you. That is the real you, your spirit, your soul. That's where your character is. That's where your personality is. That's where all your traits are. And you need to understand and define who that person is. So, have you sat down? Many times people compare a lot. I don't know how, as humans, many of us, we are fast to see what we don't have, quick to see what other people have, and somehow we fail to acknowledge what we have in us. And sometimes because of that fear of the glaring lack that we feel we have, we don't want to face who we really are. I'll tell you a story. When I was young and I was introduced to temperaments, I could never find myself, especially when I look at the strengths. Instead, if I go to the weaknesses, I will now see myself in one place or the other. Why? Because I did not have a good self-image. I didn't really understand my worth and all that. So I'm speaking to you today and I'm asking, who are you? Who are you? I'm not asking who you want to be yet. We will get there. But for now, who are you? It's a good question for you to ask. And I'll advise you to get back into your heart and into your place with God and begin to ask him about yourself. And begin to try to understand your makeup, your temperament, your different strengths, your weaknesses, the things that make you unique, because you are not a replica of anybody else. There's something Joyce Meyer says. She says, please be yourself, because everybody else is taken. You're not anybody's replica. You are you. So you need to know and understand yourself. That is the C. The next thing is to comprehend your world. Understand where you are. One of the things that affects people a lot is that they are living in one part of the world and they feel they're somewhere else. And they're always in conflict with their world. They're not able to take advantage of the things happening around them. They're not able to influence the things happening around them because they are not there. There are people who are wishing they are in another country, and all their life they are dreaming they are somewhere else. I had a relative that had this problem, and sincerely it set her back so much. She just felt she didn't fit into Nigeria. She felt she didn't fit into her world, and she removed herself from this world. She just wasn't there. She's living, but she's not here. Painful. You need to understand your world. Understand the challenges of your world. Understand where you fit in your world. Because your world is different from my own. We are all on earth. We are all on this world. But my realities are different from your own realities. And if you don't understand your own realities, then it means you're going to be living in frustration. So number one, our C is comprehension. Understand who you are. Understand your world. That is your C. Please begin to think about who you are. Who you are. Who you are. Begin to think about who you are. Who you are. And repeating it, who you are, so that you can flourish in the place that you have been planted. The next letter we're looking at is L. L stands for leadership. And let me tell you something. Many times when we hear the word leadership, our mind goes to people in authority. We don't realize that leadership is the way we guide and comport and take ourselves forward in life. Leadership is not about other people, it's about ourselves. How we organize and take all the opportunities and all the things around us and use them to better our lives. That is leadership. Leadership is about the decisions that you make about yourself. Now, when we're talking about clarity, how does leadership come in? Leadership comes in deciding who you are. You know, there are several paths you can take in your life. There are many opportunities you can take. But clarity will make you understand which opportunity is the best. And leadership is what will help you know how to make that decision and follow through in that decision. So, you need to make a decision about who you believe you are and who you believe you are supposed to be. Who you believe you are and who you believe you are supposed to be. Look, you can't do everything. You can't be everything to everybody. You need to know that this is why I am here right now, and this is what I need to do. If you remember, I said earlier that clarity helps us prioritize. It helps us take what is important, what is relevant, what should be done at particular points in time, and makes us do those things first. Now, if you have leadership, you will now learn how to apply yourself to do those things that you need to do and do them at the right time. Now, let's say, for example, you're somebody who wants to be, what should I use now? A lecturer, for instance, and you already to start with, for you to lecture, you know you cannot just lecture with an ordinary level certificate, your O levels. No, you can't do that. You can't even lecture with your first degree. You must have a master's, and some places you must even have a PhD. Now, leadership, self-leadership will tell you, for you to become a lecturer, it means that you need to go to school and get higher levels of education. And leadership is what will make you apply yourself to study, apply yourself to reading, apply yourself to learning, to make sure that you go on the path you want to be. So first, comprehend, understand who you are and why you are here and what you are supposed to do. The leadership comes to help you make choices and decisions that will take you to that place you want to be. All right? The next thing we're going to be looking at is A. A stands for acceptance. A stands for acceptance. And why am I talking about acceptance? Acceptance is being comfortable and content with what you have been given. You understand who you are. You comprehend your life, your person, and all that. You now decide on the journey you want to take. The next thing is to accept what you have been given. There are different people. There are several people who didn't have the privileges that you and I even have, but yet they were able to do great things with their lives. We hear about Helen Keller. One of the comments she made is that the most unfortunate thing, somebody asked her what is worse than being blind, because she was blind. And she said, what is worse than being blind is having sight and not being able to see. Not being able to see, not being able to do anything with the sight that you have. There are people who we have Nick Vujicic. I'm not able to pronounce his name very well. He doesn't have arms, he doesn't have legs. And yet he's a pastor and a public speaker. He's going around and spreading the gospel and encouraging people to make the best of their lives, even though he came out on this earth as somebody who was handicapped and physically challenged. We hear about the Mozarts and the different people who made music and arts and so much. How were they able to bring out so much from themselves? It was because they were able to accept what they were given. They acknowledged what they did not have and saw what they had and decided to utilize it. So acceptance is contentment, is being okay with what you have been given, is being okay with what God has endowed you with. Now, talking about acceptance, there are 3 areas I will want us to look at. There's one part that is self-image. Self-image talks about the view you have of yourself. It's important that your self-image is realistic and positive. Realistic and positive. If you have a negative self-image, you will feel that nothing is ever good enough. You will feel that you're always below the mark. You will feel that you don't have value to give. But if you have a realistic and positive self-image, you are okay with who you are. You know that you have what you have and you're able to begin to use what you have. So that part is important. The next part to look at is your self-worth. How much value do you have in yourself? How much do you consider that you are somebody? You know, for me, I grew up with a lot of value. I felt I had good self-worth and self-esteem until I made some mistakes in my life and the devil began to torment me with those mistakes. I had made those mistakes and it was like I had taken a step back in my life, and before long I didn't see value. I just began to look down on myself. And let me tell you something, there's no way you look down on yourself and you reduce your quality that everything around you will not treat you the same way if you're not careful. And as I began again to listen to God and begin to go through His Word and begin to, relate with people, and it's really good to have people who speak life into you. As they began to talk with me, I began to change. One of the illustrations that touched me was when I saw somebody take a note. The person took this note and he crumpled it, pressed it, and threw it down. And he asked the person, this note, I think it was $1, I think it was like a $10 bill, I'm not sure. He said, how much is this? How much can this thing do for me? The person said, it is $10. It can still buy something that is $10. He said, are you sure? He said, yes. He said, okay. He now dropped it again, stepped on it, and rubbed it with a little of the sand, picked it up, and asked the person, is this still $10? The person said, yes, it's still $10. And the person said, can I still use it? The man said, yes, you can still use it. It can still get you $10 worth of whatever it is you want to buy. And he said that your life was dirty, stained, rumpled, messed up, doesn't remove your value. And when I heard that thing, I remembered that my worth is still my worth. And I began to value myself again. I'm telling you the truth, that changed a lot for me. It changed my outlook. It changed my ability. Remember, we're talking about acceptance. We have spoken about self-image. Now we're looking at self-worth and how you value yourself. Please, I'm begging you in the name of God, pick yourself up again. Look, I have come to see. I'll be sharing so much of how I got here, because I was down and out. Sincerely, I'm not lying to you. I was down and I was out. One other thing that touched me was when I began to understand that God does not do anything in vain. if there was a reason why he put the eyelashes on our eyes and put eyebrows on our heads, if there's a reason for the hair in our nostrils, if there's a reason for the mosquitoes and the bees and the birds, if there's a reason for every animal and everything on the face of this earth, then there's a reason for me. There's a reason I am here. There's a reason I exist. And that reason, if for nothing else, is the value that God puts on my life. And I decided to take on that value too. And I'm encouraging you, despite what anybody has said to you, despite your own mistakes and the way you have behaved that has diminished yourself, your worth, you are still of value to God. Pick yourself up. The third thing we're looking at in acceptance is your ideal self. Now, please do not take this acceptance to mean that, oh, I'm all right, I don't need to improve. That's not what I'm preaching. One thing that you need to do in life is to continue to improve. You have potentials. There are things in you have not yet discovered. Wherever you are right now is okay for here. But for where you're going, you will need to improve. So you need to sharpen those talents. Your diamond in the sand. You bring yourself out. You clean up and you perfect those things in your life. So your ideal self is the person who you really wish you are and who you wish you can grow to be. And you can become it. Somebody made a comment. She said, if I ask you, who do you admire? And you give a reply, that person you give a reply is about, that name you mentioned is a reflection of your ideal self. Is who you wish you could be. And the truth is that if it is within God's will, because all this is of course within context of his will, if it is within God's will, you can become it. Okay? So you begin to walk towards it. You begin to use what you have, not what you don't have. The things you don't have that you need, God can bring your way. But if he doesn't bring them, you use what you have to begin to build up and be that person that God has made you to be, and that person that will be the answer and the solution for many in the future. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back and look at the remaining things. But please, if you do have any questions now, begin to write them down as we're taking the break. Ask your questions on comprehension, ask your questions on leadership, and you can ask your questions on acceptance. See you as we get back in a few minutes.
The bigger you are on the inside, the bigger you can become on the side. Build your inner man spiritually and mentally.
Thank you so much, Life Center Network. Keep watching, keep listening, keep following. Thank you.
All right, my name is Godman Akinlabi, lead pastor of the Elevation Church, and I'm inviting you to keep watching Life Center Network.
Okay, so Life Center and Network is the place where you get every information and everything that has to do with education and, of course, entertainment. So I just want to tell you, keep watching
Life Center Network. Thank you.
Keep watching Life Center Network. Keep watching Life Center Network. Don't stop watching.
Please keep watching Life Center Network.
Thank you so much, Mama.
Absolutely. Please, I encourage all my friends, associates, and every good person of Obia Akwa River State. Keep watching Life Center Network.
Okay, welcome back. Good afternoon again. We are going to be continuing with our discussion. So I hope you're still in the mood of listening to me. Please, 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 I really hope you are. Okay, so we're still continuing with this thing. We are going on to R. R stands for resilience. Resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back. Resilience talks about courage. It talks about determination. It talks about that ability to keep going. Why is it relevant? Why is it part of clarity? Because in life, there are obstacles. There are times that things will rise against you or rise to stop you. But if those obstacles arise and you know that what you're gunning for is important, is what you should go for, nothing will take you off the path. Most times, you will find that people want to, escape in the face of difficulty. But clarity tells you, no, this is my aim. Clarity says, this is my goal. And I will get there no matter what. That's why we hear people talk about, oh, I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Why would an inventor say something like that? After experiments that failed time and time and time again, he knew I was to find the bulb. I was to make a bulb. I was to make something with my life that will give light in every home. He had a clear vision of what he was supposed to do. So in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the failures, he was able to bounce up again and again and again until he achieved what he was looking for. So you must be resilient. Life is not easy. Life is not easy. I'm telling you the truth. It is not easy. In this life, there will be struggles. There will be pain. There will be a lot of difficulties. But when you're clear on your vision, clear on your purpose, when you understand your why, you'll be able to go through those hurdles and you will make it. I'm not saying every time you will succeed, you will fail. There are times you will make mistakes. There are times that things that were in your hands that were working will just crumble. There are times it will look like everything was lost. But that's not your life story. Everything you're going through is a phase. Just make up your mind that I will keep on going. There's something my husband talks about. He's the apostle of consistency. And he's not just saying it. I think I'm actually the opposite, but I'm learning now. But he keeps saying something. I do it, whether it works or it doesn't work, until it begins to work. Consistency. Resilience is that spirit that says, I'm not giving up. And when you have clarity, you have the courage to have that thing in you. Why? Because you know that that place you are going is the right place to be. When there's no clarity, there's doubt. Let's use, for example, you want to make it up to a particular level in your life. Let's just use, I don't know whether you may have heard this saying before, that one of the most painful things in life is to climb up the ladder and find out that your ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. You wanted to climb up the ladder and you wanted to go up into this level financially or in your career or in your profession or in your gifts or talents, and then you get up to the top and find out that that wasn't where you should have been climbing. You should have been climbing somewhere else. You will not, when you fail, when you climb and then maybe you sleep or you climb and you stumble or something, you will not be able to keep climbing because you're not sure you're going where you're going. But if you are clear, when you have clarity, you know that I'm climbing this ladder on the right wall. So no matter what comes, whether it is wind, whether it's slippery surfaces, whether it's shaking, and you will just know that this is where I am to be. This is what I am supposed to be doing. And you just keep on going. That's where resilience rather, is relevant in this discussion on clarity. So do you have resilience? I hope you're somebody who knows where you're going, because if you do know, you will now have the courage to bring in resilience into your life and keep at it until you succeed. The next thing is integrity. Integrity. And why does integrity come in clarity? Integrity comes in because it makes sure that you are not a copycat. It makes sure that you are authentic. It makes sure that you're one with your vision. You're one with your actions. You're not just doing things because you want to do them, but you're doing them because you know that this is me. This is my assignment. Yes, especially with this social media world, there's so much. I will tell you a story. When I was given this opportunity and assignment to be coming up on this network and on this station to have these talks, one of the things I battled with within me, because remember I've told you I had a lot of self-esteem issues and self-doubt issues. Sometimes they try to raise their ugly heads and I hit them down. Anyway, one of the thoughts that came to my mind was, everybody is doing it now. People are already doing this thing. Why are you coming to do your own? What influence will your own have? What is it good you're bringing? You know, those discussions, Satan wanted to bring them as thoughts of doubt and fear. But I realized that no, I have people who listen to me too. I have people that my experience can help. I'm not coming to share things that I don't know about. I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to share my failures. I'm willing to share my weaknesses. I'm willing to share the places I've made mistakes so that I can help somebody else and make sure that the pits I fell into, you will not fall into them. So for me, integrity in this business I'm into right now, having these talks with you, is that I am one with what I'm sharing. I'm not coming to talk to you as a hypocrite. I'm coming to tell you from my life experiences that look, you can make it. From my experiences, I'm here to tell you that there's something good inside you. From my experiences, I'm here to tell you, go and make your world a better place, because I have come to understand that this is me and this is what I am for and this is what I'm here to do. So integrity is important. It's important that you're authentic. It's important that you do it your way. Don't go copying people. One of the most frustrating things is this issue of trying to be like others. You're looking at people's pictures, you're looking at people's videos, you're looking at their activities, and you're comparing yourself. And let me tell you, most times when we put things out, we try to put out the best. And you're trying to see, how do I meet up with these people's best? You're not in competition with anybody. You're in competition with you. Just make sure that every time you're being what you're being clear about concerning your life and your purpose, and you'll find out that things will begin to work together and make sense in your life. The next thing is tea. I was battling on this tea. What should I call tea? Should I call tea time? Or should I call it trust? I was just wondering. So since it's my show and I have the right to do my, and in fact this is even my own theory, so I can do it. So I think I'm going to bring both of them in and use them to bring this issue of clarity to bear. The next thing is trust. Time and trust. In fact, what I put down here is trust the process. The process is about time and about the things you will need to go through. We can't be talking about clarity and not talk about the fact that there's a journey that you will take. Nobody arrives at clarity just like that. Nobody just closes their eyes and opens it and they just see what it is they're supposed to see. No, there's a process. There is a growing, and it's important that you trust the process and you trust yourself in the process. You cannot have no confidence, zero confidence in yourself, and think that whatever it is you're clear about will also grow. It doesn't happen like that. It won't work like that. So the issue now is, do you trust? Do you trust you? Do you trust you? Do you trust? This is a Christian network, a Christian broadcast. I know I'm speaking to Christians. I know I'm speaking to even ministers, and of course, ministers' wives. When we talk about trust, I'm not talking about dependence on yourself, but I feel there's an assurance that comes when you have God that you should be able to lean on. In fact, there was once in one of my write-ups, I talked about Godfidence. Confidence is confidence in you and your abilities. Godfidence is confidence in you, your abilities, and God. Because we can't remove Him from the process. So for clarity to bless your life and for it to stand out and for it to make something for you, there has to be trust. Trust in you, trust in the process, and trust in what you're going to do. And time. You need to give time because it's a journey. Look, let me tell you something that will happen. You will gain clarity as we talk, as we go ahead. God will be revealing things to you, but I can assure you that He's not going to show you everything. So the principles I'm sharing with you are things that will help you not just today, but 1 year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, because every phase of life you get to, God will give you some new visions, or He will widen the old vision He gave you and cause you to see more than what you were seeing before. But if you have not learned to trust what He says to you, His faithfulness to you, what He has given you to serve and make impact in this world, everything about clarity will crumble down. So I encourage you, work on trust. As we begin to grow and go on in this our discussions, there's a lot we will talk about. One of the things that I feel Christianity does to us sometimes when we're not careful is that it takes our eyes off the things God has given us and we just look at God. It's good to be dependent on God, but He's not a fool to have given us and equipped us with what He has already put into our hands. If He didn't know that we needed or if He didn't, how will I put it now? I don't know what illustration I should use, but He has already given you something. Let me use, for instance, you are a singer. He has already given you a good voice. You're not supposed to be depending on Him for a good voice. I don't know whether I'm clear. You can depend on Him for Him to help you improve your voice. You can depend on Him to help you so your voice will be heard. You will have the wide reach. Those things that may not be within your control, but the part that is within your control, which is your voice, and improving it and using it, you don't go back to trust God for it. So there's a place where your confidence comes in. And as we're talking about clarity, as you're seeing what you have and you're looking at these things, these gifts, these talents, these abilities, and you're understanding the purpose and knowing that God has already given you what you need to do what you need to do, clarity helps you bring those things together and you trust yourself to deliver on the assignment of your life. So that is our T. And finally, we come to why. Why? I'm not asking the question why. I'm saying why. This letter Y. And Y stands for yieldedness. Yieldedness is about surrender. I've spoken about so much about clarity and seeing well, but the truth is that it's not everything that you will see. And I will not forgive myself if I allow you leave this place feeling that if you don't see everything, you have failed. No. There's a place of surrender. There's a place, he trusted himself, he trusted the process. But there's one other thing he had, it was yieldedness. He was ready to go how God wanted him to go. Yes, he knew he was going to be a leader, but he didn't know how he was going to get there. And he did not insist on his way to get there. He yielded. He allowed God's process to take its own way. He allowed God lead him. He was ready to go into the valley, and he went into the valley when necessary. He was willing to go up to the mountaintop. When it was time, he went up to the mountaintop. He surrendered. So I don't want you leaving my presence or leaving this place feeling that I must have everything together to have clarity. No. You need to have God. God should be that pivot of your life. And you should be able to yield to him so that whether it works and whether it doesn't work, whether it goes according to your plan and all those smart goals you have set and all those targets you have set and all those things you have decided that these are the tasks I must do to get there, all those things, important as they are still subject to God. So you get to that place where you yield completely and you find out that there is an author for your life. There's somebody who has written a beautiful story about you. There's a script. He has put in the scenes. He has put in the different actors that will come and play and act with you from different times and seasons of your life. But he has a beautiful end. And he's willing to take you there. Not every time will be pleasurable. Sometimes will be sad. But he's with you. And if you're yielded, if you have that clarity, that why at the end is that yieldedness that makes you understand that after all is said and done, is God's will. After all is said and done, there's eternity where God will be marking you correct for yielding. You now know what to prioritize and make it that at the end, God will really smile over your life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for giving me your attention, and thank you for being with me on this show today. Just for us to recap very quickly, clarity, for me, the things that make it up and make it strong, make it formidable, make it useful to your life and your destiny are 1, comprehension, 2, leadership, 3, acceptance, 4, resilience, 5, integrity, 6, trust, and 7, yieldedness. That's how to spell clarity. That's how to get the best of clarity. And that's how to make your life go in a journey that will not be messed up by the devil or any other circumstance, but that will bring you to that place where you are whole and complete in Him. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so, so much. I will want you to also continue with your questions. If you have any, you can contact me privately. My social media handles are there. You can reach out to me on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. You could also email me at manuela.izunwa@yahoo.com. You can email me there, and you could call the lines that are already available. You should know our lines: 0702 5,950. You can also call, not now, of course, the show is already ending. After the show, you could also send a text there if you want to. But I just pray you are blessed. And I want to pray for you right now. And please let your heart be open. Father, I commit your children who have stayed through and listened into your hands. I ask, oh God, you who is the author and the finisher of our faith, you will assure them of that beautiful plan you have for their lives, that script you have written, and assure them of how you have equipped them with everything that they need, and assure them of how you are with them as they go through the process, and assure them of how you are so much present and willing to make their lives that beautiful thing that you desire for them. I ask, oh God, that you give them these assurances for those who are still struggling with their sight, those who are still struggling to understand or to accept, those who are struggling with taking responsibility and doing the right things on decision making, those who are weak, who are not able to bounce back, for those who have issues with integrity, for those who have issues with trust, those who are so stuck on their ways and inflexible. Father, Lord, anywhere anyone is lacking in these issues that we have brought out on clarity, I ask that you give us and them grace. I ask that you teach them, you show them what they need to do, and you give them the ability to cover up every area that needs to be covered up, so that their lives will come out as that beautiful thing you have said it will be. I thank you because I know you have done it. Thank you for answering also, in Jesus' mighty name. And just before I go, in case you're not born again, or maybe you don't have your relationship with God is broken for some reasons, maybe you have fallen out with the Lord. That sounds funny, but it happens to some people. I want you to come back to Jesus, and I would like you to say this prayer. Can I hear you say, Father, forgive me for leaving you. Today, I return to you. I ask that you forgive all my sins. I ask that you receive me as your child again. In Jesus' name. And for everyone, Lord, who has made that prayer, Father, I thank you because your word says that anyone that comes to you, you will not in any wise cast out. You have received them. Lord, assure them of this. Translate them into your kingdom, and let your spirit begin to enter into their lives right now. Let a relationship that will never break be established by this prayer today, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Amen. And amen. God bless you. See you next week. Bye.